Hey everyone, happy Monday. That's right, Monday. For a lot of you, it was a long weekend on July 4th weekend. It's a pleasure when July 4th is on a Friday and you can get those great weekends, though I prefer a Monday because I like to get off Mondays. There's something about getting off Mondays that just gets me off. Anyway, happy Monday to you. We've got a great Tech Strong gang for you. Let me introduce you to our fantastic panel. Most of them have been on the gang before, so you know them. There's the one and only Lisa Martin, the infamous, famous man about town, Ira Winkler, our man in Silicon Valley, John Swartz, the Dean, Mike Vizard, and a new gang member to introduce you to today. And I hope I say her name right. I've practiced, but you never know. Chhaya Gunawat? Am I close, Chhaya?
Yes, that's right. You got it, Alan.
Chhaya, tell people a little about yourself.
Sure. So, hi everyone. Thanks for having me here. I'm a DevOps enthusiast. Over 18 years now. I graduated back in 2007, and luckily, I entered the industry when DevOps was still evolving. We used to known as build engineers. That we got converted into SREs. Then it was DevOps, and now it is MLOps and Secure Ops as whatnot. So I'm here at Amazon for over 5 years now. I worked with various industry companies, for example, NetApp. I worked through channel partners for Cisco and back home Bosch for a couple of years. So that's kind of a little bit about my background.
Fantastic. Welcome to the gang. You're going to be a great member. We appreciate you.
Mhm.
Ira, Mike, I'm sorry, you hear people graduated 2007.
Yes.
You know, good for you. All righty. Let's move on. So, Mike, our first article, or our first segment today is about an article up on Dev. We got a lot of DevOps.com stuff today, but this one is regarding a big news from Microsoft. They open sourced a piece of software that lets us peer into how AI actually does code, how AI produces code. You know, this has been a bit of a black box and a sticking point for a lot of people who who wanted to understand why is AI writing the code the way it is? How is it writing the code the way that it's writing, for good or bad? Mike, I'll throw it over to you.
Yes, folks, it's hard to believe, I know, but Microsoft is setting an example. Things that we should follow, things we should consider here. There is this AI editor that they are now making available as under an MIT license, for that matter. And that's the AI editor that they use to create the AI coding tools. So now you can see exactly how this thing works and how it's actually constructing that code. And more importantly, I think the tools that we have out there are going to want to peer into that so that we can observe what's happening here. And it's going to be consumed more by the observability tools that we use to kind of see what's going on all across our pipeline. Not sure how much each individual person wants to dive into that level of code, but the level of transparency is improving. Alan, is there hope for us?
Well, let me give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, the good is, as you said, kudos to Microsoft, right? They open sourced it. And not only did they open source it, they put it out under an MIT license, which is one of the most open, if that's not too many opens in one word sentence for you, one of the most open licenses there is. It virtually allows you to do just about anything with it. So kudos to Microsoft for doing that. And as I said before I threw it over to you, Mike, you know, a lot of people have been wanting to peer into the black box of how AI actually thinks, of how it does what it does. I don't know if thinking's the right word. I don't think reasoning is the right word either. But how does it work, right? You ask it to spit out code that does this. How does it know what to write and how does it write? So now we actually can peek in and maybe see what goes on behind the black curtain there as the wizard pulls the levers. The bad is like most open source code, no one's going to look at it. Right? It's almost, maybe it'll be comforting to know that we have it available, but who, looking at it and then understanding it, that's even a smaller percentage. You probably count the people on like your fingers and toes. So, it's a great thing for freedom. We just had July 4th, so freedom, like Richie Havens said in Woodstock, is a motherless child. And, but how many people are actually going to, use it, I think will remain to be seen. I think, Mike, you're right. People who maybe like are collecting analytics and want to see, broad percentages of how code is derived via AI, they may use it for sort of research projects, if you will.
Alan, could I jump in quickly?
Sure,
because
do it.
I think you're missing a complete group of people who are going to look at it. And these are criminals. You're going to have a bunch of people who now, since it's open source, are going to look at it to find vulnerabilities. That's number one. Because if you have open source, it's easier to find the vulnerabilities. Also, if it's open source, you got people fixing it, you got people enhancing it, but the security checks going in sometimes don't take top priority in fixing. More important, though, I can promise you that there will be criminals who take this open source software, do the features that are supposed to help the community, and then embed malicious software using those same features, and then put it out and distribute it like it's a legitimate code base. And this has happened with library programs. It's happened with other open source compilers and everything like that. And even if somebody takes it, writes an enhanced version, somebody can compromise that legitimate good enhanced version and put malware into it. Because there's not
ugly. There you have it. I should have thought of that actually, Ira, but there you have it. That's pretty ugly, right? And it's why we can't have nice things.
Chhaya, let me ask you about this because you're closer to this than all of us, but what's your take on what's going on here?
My take is, I think they should have done it earlier, because this is not the first company who have done the open source. We have had DeepSeek had their model out right from the day one. So I personally feel they should have done it long ago, the model outsourcing. And the other thing is, I feel they have taken the financial advantages of being upfront in the AI for a long term. And now they're looking for more ideas to make it better in terms of the features that the developers are looking for. And the reason I've been giving this feedback is because I've been talking to a bunch of college grads who are entering the workforce for the first time. And they ask me, Chhaya, we have not coded without AI. So how do we code with AI? A world where we are not allowed to use these models, because not many companies are going to allow the open source AI model within the workforce until it is scrutinized. So there is a mixed conversation about it in terms of the open source versus the responsibility of it.
I
think
it's an interesting
one of
point.
the things that I've consistently heard from folks is that it's very hard for them as humans to debug code written by the AI because they don't know how it was constructed in the first place. So let me come back to Chhaya on that. But can we maybe get better at least understanding what the AI is doing and make it easier to debug? Because a lot of people are saying, I just as soon write it myself, at least that way I know how to fix it.
Chhaya, is that question to Chhaya, Mike?
Yeah, I thought so. But
Yeah.
Chhaya, thoughts?
Yes. So the thing is, now the space is getting slightly better. People are trying to understand what the models is looking for, examples to get the code trained, right? And that's why when we have multiple such co-pilots, such coding assistants, they can pick a model that will help in the right direction. So I feel there is a information out there on how to make the right judgment call in terms of the usage.
So I want to distinguish, though, this compared to, let's say, OpenSeek. Yes, the researchers behind OpenSeek did open source OpenSeek, but I don't believe they open source something here that gives you a picture into how it actually reasons in terms of developing code. I think with OpenSeek, it was about how it was trained, right, and how it was, they did it with less energy, less hours, less time, right? It was a more efficient model. But I don't know if they gave you, if the code generator, if you will, was in fact open sourced.
To clarify, you're talking about DeepSeek, right?
DeepSeek, I'm sorry. What did I say? OpenSeek? Was that an old?
OpenSeek. I was wondering.
Yeah, no, it was OpenSeek. Wasn't that one of like the search engines before Google or something? I don't remember.
Yeah, no idea.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, that was it. Yes, DeepSeek. But so I don't know if they in fact open source this aspect of the model of the
John, I have a question for you. Does this force all the other players, and especially OpenAI, to kind of come around on this same issue as well? And will everybody fall in line?
I think because Microsoft's doing it, I think it's naturally, we'll see OpenAI probably follow the same path in terms of as a competitor. Yes, I think it will. And because this is a Me Too race in a sense. We have people jumping from one track to another, whether it be acquisition, whether it's philosophy. And I mean, one thing I just wanted to point out, just kind of looking from it at a higher kind of faraway level, dispassionate level, is it's interesting to see this evolution of Microsoft from this, you said earlier, kind of like this Me Too company to, dare I say it, almost a trendsetter of sorts. Although the open source approach here leverages the same community dynamics that made VS Code a success. But again, I think the change of tactics, and I think what we're seeing, and this is a microcosm, are these companies trying to find some sort of advantage, some sort of edge to get a step ahead of one another, and then they're going to follow one another, and it's going to be this kind of pack race that goes on. And we're going to see this in other developments involving DevOps, security, whatnots. So this is going to be part of a larger trend, I believe. And it's interesting to see Microsoft for once trying to lead in a certain area when usually they're the followers.
I agree with John. I think that's what it is about. It's the thing that I also wanted to add with this OpenAI and Microsoft partnership, kind of going in a different direction. There are resources moving around. There are a lot of OpenAI engineers going towards Meta. And then because OpenAI is stepping away from Microsoft, they need to come up with more ways to handle this, which they have built over the years.
All right. So as a guy who writes a lot of these articles, I'm kind of hoping everybody will just do this all at once. I mean, save me a lot of time and trouble. Next week at around noon would be good. I mean, everybody just name their announcement and call it even.
All right.
That's going to happen over like a period, Mike. This is going to happen over a period of 6 to 9 months. And you're going to have to do a story that updates what happened before. And it's not going to all happen in one fell swoop. It's just and they're all going to do it at different timing and try to present it as if it's something unique that only they thought of.
Come on, if we all know the end of the movie, can I just fast forward? Let's go.
Yeah, I wish we could. Make life easier for us.
It's the journey, not the end.
Sometimes it's a repetitive journey, though, or derivative, it seems.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But again, everyone could rush headlong into open sourcing this. But as Ira said, it may just benefit the ones who benefit the most, maybe the people we least want to have access to that. So,
yeah. Ira, do you think the security people, or the bad guys at least, will contribute fixes to the project once they get to know how it works?
Let me tell you a true story. I once had a CISO from a Fortune 20 company give me a call, and they're like, Ira, I think I have China all over my network, but I don't know what to do about it. I'm like, why do you think this? It's like all of a sudden, all my vulnerability reports are coming back clean. So, and it wasn't the network operations team. It was like, a malicious actor basically came in, updated all the systems so other hackers couldn't come in, but also they needed the systems updated for the latest version of the malware they were implanting. And they thought that people would never notice this. And frankly, they didn't notice it until the security manager noticed this. And I think what's going to happen is, unfortunately, the bad guys are the people who have the most to financially gain. Everybody's going to pat themselves on the back. The open source people are going to be rah, rah, rah. But the bad guys are going to be seeing dollar signs or intelligence data in their shiny little eyes. And they're going to go ahead and put out their own versions of this, if not figure out how to exploit the code. And I'm telling you, that's going to come a lot quicker than you think.
Unfortunately. All right, let's take a break here on TechStrong Gang. We're going to come back and talk about DevOps in the age of AI. Got a lot of articles behind this one. You're watching TechStrong Gang.